everybody. Shout out to the Weeknd for Call Out My Name. If y'all know anything about me, you know that the Weeknd is one of my favorite artists. And yeah, so that kind of sets up what I want to talk about today. And this is not an easy topic for me to discuss, but I think that coming out and being completely honest and forthcoming will hopefully help a lot of people out there, particularly, my ladies who like wear your heart on your sleeve and really hope against hope for love and reconciliation and things like that. And I want to be careful and say that I'm not saying at all that it's not possible, but I think that there are some things that you need to be, kind of mindful of, and at least, kind of be aware of red flags. I haven't really talked about it much because I kind of wanted to see where it was going, and because we had such a difficult breakup, and I did a vlog about that the last go around. I've kind of kept, the resurgence of our relationship under wraps. And so, I've been in a relationship for probably about a year now, give or take. And it's with the same guy that ghosted me and gave me the silent treatment 4 years ago, which actually started this channel. And I know what you all are thinking, like, oh my God, you're so stupid. But, the heart wants what it wants. And honestly, I thought that 4 years apart would have allowed both of us to grow and develop and, become more mature. Well, and this video really is not to bash him, but it's really kind of just to bring some perspective and some awareness to some things, because I think that, irrespective of whether or not you love each other, whatever that means, and I've come to find out that love means different things to different people. It's very possible to be on different pages and want different things, and you probably should just leave stuff alone. So anyway, let me just start from the beginning. My ex and I had been in contact off and on over the years, and I want to say that I probably initiated 95% of that contact, whether it was birthdays or, just random highs or things that reminded me of him. Like, I really didn't see a problem with reaching out and saying, hey, or whatever. Looking back on it, I recognize that I was keeping those channels of communication open because I loved him. And, I'm not going to suggest that it was right or wrong. I'm just very cognizant of the fact that I did that, and that he wasn't really, reaching out in the way that someone who was really interested would reach out. So that's red flag number one for you ladies. Number two, he did decide that, we went out to dinner, I think, or lunch or something like that. And his commentary to me was, I told my family that I want to get back together because that's what I want to do. So, he was making a decision at that particular time that, he decided that he wanted to be back in this relationship. Now, I want to say that there was never any apology. There was never any discussion about, what had gone wrong the first time and, how we were going to make amends. And I want to say that that was red flag number two, because I always harbored that. Most women, forget about women. Most people, if they've, feel like they've been done wrong, if they feel like, the relationship was completely off track, if they feel like, they were burned the first time around, there's a need to have some closure for that first relationship. And he never gave me that because he gave me the silent treatment and he basically ghosted me. And so because of that, when he came back, like, I still had a lot of those residual issues, a lot of that residual angst. And he never gave me the platform to really be able to say, well, babe, this is what happened, X, Y, and Z. And even when I did try and express that, he would completely say that, it was something else. And I felt like I was being gaslighted a lot of the time. That definitely is a red flag, and I'll get into that more later. So, I kind of put that to the side because I love this man genuinely. I loved him, and I thought, this was my person. Y'all know that I don't really believe in soulmates, but if I believed in one, this definitely would be it, some kind of twin flame thing. So anyway, the first 8 or 9 months were really good, in my opinion. Like, he was really trying. He was really showing a lot of attention. He was, responsive to a lot of things that were happening, whatever. Well, there were a couple of things that simultaneously went on. So I started to go through this bout of depression. And I vlogged about this in detail. Listen, y'all, I don't know how to explain this. I don't know what to say about this other than to say that this hit me out the blue. And because I'm a healthcare person, like I was calling my physician, like, you need to check me for my thyroid. You need to check me am I going into menopause? Like, what the crap is wrong with me? Like, I literally was having days where I couldn't get out the bed, where I was feeling debilitated. Like, I was doing everything that I could do to not throw myself off of a building somewhere. And that is just really how I felt. And while I'm not gonna say that I didn't have any plan or any intent, so I wasn't suicidal actively in that way, because I'm familiar and I'm knowledgeable enough with what that looks like, and I would have gotten to the nearest ED if I thought, that I really was starting to make a plan or something like that. But it was passive suicidal thoughts, which really was more scary, because it was more like, if I don't wake up tomorrow, then what? Like, who would really care? And those kind of things are very difficult for me to admit, but it was really a dark, slippery slope that I had gotten on. And I articulated this to him, and it was kind of like, he expressed some concern, but it wasn't like, well, let's get you into help, or, what can he did say, what can I do? I won't lie and say that, but it was, it was like, well, what's wrong with you, or what's going on? So I know that he didn't know what to do. And even like one of my best girlfriends, who was a psych major, was kind of like, well, you need to focus on the great things in life, and, let's focus on, the blessings of God, and let's focus on, I know all of that stuff. It didn't have anything to do with me focusing on negativity, or not being appreciative of the blessings that God gave me, or not being excited about, the sanctity of life. That didn't have anything to do with it. Like, there was something really, really off, and it was a very, very dark time. It was very difficult, and I really feel like I went through that alone. At the same time, he experienced a loss with one of his best friends, or one of his good friends. I had never heard of this man. It was kind of like, okay, and I'm not disqualifying the relationship, but he never really talked about this person. And so when he passed away, I was really kind of like taken aback, because I didn't know who this person was. And so I was texting him, I was calling him, like, babe, what can I do? What do you need? Those kinds of things. And he's the type of person where, he kind of cocoons, and he doesn't really know, and he gets agitated if you ask him a lot of questions, whereas I'm the type of person where, I need to ask the question to know. Like, I don't want to assume. So he got real weird, and, he was really kind of like feeling like I wasn't being a girlfriend, whatever that means, even though I had been texting him and calling him and asking him. And I eventually got to the point where I was like, well, I'm going to just give you some space, because I feel like I'm bothering you. I feel like, I'm making it worse, because I keep asking you, what can I do? How are you? Those kinds of things. And I know how I am when I experience grief, which is, I just need to put a pin in it, press pause for a minute, and just process. And so I thought, because he wasn't responding to anything else that I was offering, that maybe he was perhaps this kind of person, because I was not having anything to go off of. And, he got real cryptic, and, just real like, it's going to be all right, and things like that. So I got in my car, and I went down to his house, and I stayed with him. Okay, so, we got past that hiccup. But after that, he was real, like weird and withdrawn. And I kept trying to like connect with him. Now, he experienced a lot of loss. Well, one more loss over the summer. And, his tendency is to disconnect and withdraw. And so I felt like I was chasing him. And so in that time, I was still going through my issues with depression. I was, I was facing some health crisis. So we were like really going through a lot individually. And so, in the middle of all of that, he started to withdraw. He started to like do things like he wouldn't call, he wouldn't text, which to me is a clear sign of disengagement, disinterest. And, and I would test it. Like I would like go a couple of days and call him, and he would have no idea, or at least he would pretend like he had no idea that he hadn't talked to me in 2 or 4 days or what have you. So I felt like he was clearly telling me that he didn't want me. So the culmination was, in August, he, I told him up front, he had somewhere to go. He needed to do something with his son. And so I said, don't leave the state without letting me know. We had a date night that was planned, and I take full responsibility. I didn't really remember how we were supposed to communicate. We didn't communicate that Sunday. That Monday, he didn't call me. That Tuesday, he didn't call me. And so it was kind of like, I felt like he was, if I didn't call him, if I didn't reach out to him, if I didn't extend an olive branch, he didn't care if we talked. And so even though I had told him before that, please don't leave the state without letting me know, he left the state without letting me know. I was pissed, y'all. Like, I was so pissed. So, I didn't say anything right away. Like, I just wanted to see. So he got to where he was supposed to be going. I'm texting him, like, what's going on? Like, I sent him this video where, like, I'm crying. I'm pouring my heart out to him. Like, it didn't faze him. So that should have been, like, red flag number 299. And I'm being fully transparent in this video. I'm going to get to my point in a minute. So, I text him, like, hey, did you make it where you're going? What's going on? And so he basically texted me and says, you want to be married right now? I don't. You have a perspective on our relationship. I have my own perspective. And I'm thinking, like, what in the crap is going on? That was red flag. That should have been the last red flag, because clearly he didn't want to be in this relationship. Clearly he didn't want to be with me. But I continue to press the issue for whatever, because of love. Like, I'm like, if you're in a relationship and if you love somebody, if you really care about somebody, then you make the effort. Like, we have a situation where we're miscommunicating, but I didn't realize that he was literally, like, trying to cut me off. And so, I FaceTimed him. I'm like, what are you talking about? What is going on? Like, what is really happening? Because I just thought that was just grossly unfair. And, looking back on it, I recognize that, I continuously tried to provide this safety net for this relationship where he was disengaged a long time ago, like for months. And I had been trying to engage him and trying to make sure that we weren't slipping back into old behaviors and past, issues. But it is what it is. And, my culmination for all of this is to not bash him, because, a lot of these things I endured and I went into, like, I don't know, just willingly, because of whatever, because of my heart. So I think that, at some point in time, if you decide that you want to revisit a relationship, great. But there needs to be some ground rules for how that happens, what it is that you both expect. When he came back, he was talking about marriage, not me. He brought it up. But when I started to bring it up, it became a problem. And so I feel like, it was kind of like some game playing and some bait and switch, or maybe he truly got cold feet. I have no idea. But right now, we're right back at the same place that we were before. And because this is his MO, this is his, kind of like his comfort zone, my advice is you need to really look at past behavior as a predictor for future behavior. Because if someone did something to you once, you can probably rest assured that they will do that to you again. And you need to determine whether or not that something is worth your investment, if that something is worth your heartache and your pain. Fortunately for me, I think that, I kind of have just kind of guarded myself this time around, so I'm not as affected. I'm not saying that I'm not affected at all, but I'm definitely not as affected as I was the first go around. And so, it's really time for me to put this to bed and move on in a comprehensive way and say that, this relationship is not any good for me. It's toxic, and, we're not good for each other, and that's okay. And, if you come to that conclusion, great. But you need to come to that conclusion prior to breaking your own heart and continuing along with a situation that is not going to yield you what you want. If you want to be married, don't mess around with somebody that doesn't want to be married. And seriously, guys, girls, whatever, if y'all are doing that, stop wasting people's time. Just stop it. It's disgusting. It's immature. It's inappropriate. Just go be with somebody that just want to sleep with you or whatever it is that you want to do, and be happy and leave people alone. Like, seriously. I'm Felisa. I hope that you enjoyed this vlog, and I will talk to you later on. Leave your comments below. I would love to hear your feedback. Be easy on me. I'm being very transparent, but I'm hopeful that, this will help y'all in the long run, because, we none of us really are relationship gurus. We keep going through it because we need to learn these lessons, and the only way that we can learn these lessons is by experience. And that's why I'm passing this on, not to, embarrass myself or to embarrass, my partner, but to say it is what it is. And of course, this is my perspective. He probably has another one, but whatever. Talk to y'all later on. Bye.